Ladies and gentlemen, naturalist historian here. What does electricity, individualism, philosophy, secrecy, and diplomacy share in common? The answer is Benjamin Franklin. This prominent founding father of America possesses a profound complexity and an aura of mystery that envelops his tumultuous endeavors throughout his lifetime. Born on January 17, 1706, in Boston, Massachusetts, to Josiah Franklin, an English soapmaker, Franklin was raised in a Christian Puritan household. This humble beginning undoubtedly instilled in him a relentless work ethic. However, it also raises a critical question regarding his eventual shift in belief from traditional Christianity to deism. To truly understand the Founding Fathers, particularly Benjamin Franklin and their Enlightenment era ideologies, one must delve deeply into their influences, intellectual foundations, and even their commercial enterprises. Franklin in particular embodies a labyrinth of enigmatic paradoxes and dialectic contradictions, evident in his dealings, his way of life, and his struggles with adversaries. Though far from a saint, as his more traditional Christian critics often denounce him as a heretic or a hypocrite, he championed the virtue of chastity while grappling with the personal shortcomings that failed to align with his ideals he espoused. Like George Washington, whom I've analyzed in my previous video, Benjamin Franklin has been venerated by partisan political factions and the broader education system, which has effectively watered down his views to a basic understanding. However, this reverence often overlooks the deeper intricacies of his philosophical convictions and the intellectual forces that shaped his worldview. Benjamin Franklin commenced his career at a printing press at the age of 12, apprenticing under his elder brother James in 1718. By 1723, at the age of 17, he departed from Boston and moved to Philadelphia, but struggled to find employment. He then voyaged his first trip to London, also one of the first expeditions to Great Britain he ever partook, where he worked and ascended the ranks as a printer's assistant before eventually establishing himself as a master printer and opening his own printing enterprise. During this time, he became involved with the Freemasons, using his printing press influence to publish Masonic literature, further promoting Enlightenment ideals among the colonies. Like many of his contemporaries among the Founding Fathers, Franklin was initiated into Freemasonry in 1731 at St. John's Lodge in Philadelphia. He quickly rose through the ranks, becoming Grand Master in 1734. That same year, he published the Constitution of the Freemasons, the first Masonic book printed in America. Further solidifying his role in the movement, he even went on to administer the founding of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania. Following his retirement from the printing press in 1748, which he entrusted to his associate David Hall, Benjamin Franklin transitioned into politics, being elected to the Philadelphia Colonial Assembly in 1751. In May 1757, the Pennsylvania Assembly appointed Benjamin Franklin as the official Philadelphia representative to articulate colonial grievances before the British Parliament, a role granted to him in recognition of his diplomatic acumen and deep understanding of colonial issues. Franklin subsequently landed in Great Britain in August 1757, where he presented the colony's case before Parliament. During the Stamp Act crisis of 1765, Benjamin Franklin, initially a loyal supporter of the British colonial policy and the Crown, underwent a significant transformation in his stance after witnessing widespread colonial outrage sparked by the act. His opposition was not solely rooted in the principle that no taxation without representation, but also reflected his profound belief in self-governance and the Enlightenment ideal that governments derive from their authority from the consent of the governed. Benjamin Franklin's alleged involvement with the Hellfire Club, an influential 18th century British society known for its debauchery and secrecy, remains a topic of speculation and intrigue. During his time in England in 1757 to 1775, Franklin was acquainted with Sir Francis Dashwood, the club's founder, and contributed to the redesign of the West Wycombe Caves, a site linked to the club's activities. While there is no concrete evidence that Franklin was a formal member, His association with the Dashwood and his reputation as a free thinker would have fueled the rumors of his participation. Some suggest Franklin may have attended the meetings out of curiosity, while others argue his involvement has been exaggerated. The lack of definitive proof and the possibility that any incriminating documents were destroyed by burnings as he left England, possibly to protect his reputation, leaves the matter open to interpretation. Historians continue to debate the extent of Franklin's connection to the Hellfire Club, making it one of the more enigmatic aspects of his storied life. Benjamin Franklin's Enlightenment-driven ideology challenged traditional Christian conservative values. Ideas who valued reason over dogma, he respected religion's moral utility, but criticized its excesses. His involvement with the Freemasonry reflected his commitment to rationality and progress. Returning from London in 1775, disillusioned with Britain, he joined the Continental Congress, advocating for a secular language like Creator rather than the Christian God in the Declaration of Independence and opposing religious tests in the Constitution. Later an abolitionist, he condemned slavery, clashing with romanticized views of the Founding Fathers. His support for the French revolutionary ideas and belief in progress over tradition further underscored his radical view, challenging the Christian nation narrative. Benjamin Franklin's diplomatic mission to France in 1776 was a pivotal moment in the American Revolution, as his charm, wit, and intellect helped secure crucial French support in the fledgling United States. Franklin arrived in Paris in December 1776 and quickly became a celebrity in French society. His reputation as a scientist, philosopher, and a revolutionary endeared him in the French public, and he skillfully navigated the political and social circles of Paris to advance the American cause. During his stay in France, he was an active Freemason, serving as the Venerable Master of the Lodge, Les Neuf Sœurs, from 1779 until 1781. Franklin was a master networker and hosted numerous gatherings at his residence in Passy, just outside Paris. These parties were attended by French intellectuals, politicians, and influential figures, many of whom were Freemasons. Franklin himself was a prominent Freemason, and this shared affiliation helped him build alliances with key individuals. One of the most notable connections was a young man, the Marquis de Lafayette, a fellow Freemason who became a passionate supporter of the American cause. Lafayette, only 19 years old when they met, was inspired by Franklin's vision of liberty and eventually secured a commission to fight in the Continental Army, where he became a close ally of George Washington. Franklin also cultivated relationships with French diplomats like the Comte Vergennes, the French foreign minister, and influential figures such as Pierre Gaston Caron de Bachaniers, the playwright and secret arms dealer who helped funnel French supplies to the Americans. Franklin's ability to blend diplomacy with social charm made him uniquely effective in securing French support. Franklin's personal life in France was subject to much scandalous gossip, painting a vivid picture of his indulgences in the hedonistic lifestyle of Parisian high society. While he was still technically married to Deborah Reed, she had remained in Philadelphia, and the two had grown emotionally distant long before the departure for France. Franklin's letters to her were more frequent and coldly formal, and he had made no effort to bring her to France. Instead, Franklin fully immersed himself in the libertine culture of Paris, engaging in countless flirtations, romantic dalliances, and scandalous affairs with a string of women, much to the delight of the gossip mongers at court. One of the most infamous relationships was with the Madame Annon Louis Briand de Jouy, a wealthy and talented musician who lived near him in Passy. The relationship was the talk of Paris, with rumors swirling about late-night visits and passionate exchanges. Franklin was rumored to have slept with numerous other women, including actresses, courtesans, and even wives of influential French nobles, all while indulging in a lavish lifestyle and decadent parties. His behavior drew sharp criticism from some, like John Adams, who viewed Franklin's escapades as a disgraceful distraction from his diplomatic duties. Yet to many in France, Franklin's charm and audacity only added to his legend, but to many of his critics, like John Adams and traditionals, was a man who lived life preaching to the abstemious, although was indulgent. When Benjamin Franklin returned to the United States in 1785, he was celebrated as one of the nation's foremost champions of independence, second only to George Washington in the hearts of American people. His diplomatic success in securing French support during the Revolutionary War had cemented his legacy as a founding father. Upon his return, Franklin continued to shape the young nation, not only through his political influence but also through his evolving moral convictions. By the late 1780s, Franklin had become an outspoken abolitionist, freeing his two enslaved individuals, King and George, and using his platform to advocate for the end of slavery. In 1787, he was elected the president of Pennsylvania Society for promoting the abolition of slavery, a role he held until his death. Franklin's political career also flourished upon his return. On October 18, 1785, he was elected president of the Supreme Executive Council of Pennsylvania, a position equivalent to governor. In this capacity, he played a pivotal role in hosting the Constitutional Convention in 1787 in Philadelphia, where the future of the United States was debated and the U.S. Constitution was drafted. Franklin himself served as a delegate to the convention, bringing up his wisdom, wit, and diplomatic skills to the proceedings. Despite his advanced age and declining health, he was a unifying figure, helping to broker compromises such as the Great Compromise, which resolved disputes between large and small states over representation in Congress. Franklin's leadership in Pennsylvania was widely respected, and he was re-elected to full terms on October 29, 1785. In the fall of 1786, and again on October 31, 1787. However, his later years marked his significant health struggles. Franklin long battled obesity, which contributed to chronic conditions such as gout and other ailments that worsened with age. By the time of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, his health had deteriorated to the point where he could no longer stand to deliver speeches, requiring James Wilson to read his final address to the delegates. Despite his physical fertility, Franklin's intellect and moral authority remained undiminished, and he was instrumental in persuading the delegates to sign the Constitution, famously urging unity with the words, "I consent, sir, to this Constitution because I expect no better, and because I am sure that it is not the best." Franklin's final years were a testament to his enduring commitment to public service and moral progress. Even as he grappled with the pain of gout and other illnesses, he continued to advocate for abolition, education, and the principles of the Enlightenment. Benjamin Franklin passed away on April 17, 1790, at the age of 84, in his Philadelphia residence. Succumbing to a paretic attack, his final words, reporting spoken to his daughter after she suggested he reposition himself for easier breathing, were, "A dying man can do nothing easy." His funeral drew a crowd of approximately 20,000 people, after which he was laid to rest in Christ Church burial ground. News of his passing resonated beyond America. In revolutionary France, the Constitutional Assembly declared a 3-day period of mourning, and memorial services were held across the nation in his honor. Thank you for watching if you made it to the end. Like, subscribe, and share. See you later.